Whoa, this is The Illusion reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. It's time for a book review. The Oregon Trail by Rinker Buck. This book, one of the best books I've read in a long, long time. You will need an atlas, a Rand McNally United States Atlas to really kind of do this book. That's my one complaint about this book is it doesn't have enough maps in it, and it's a little light on pictures. There could be some more pictures. But as far as a read goes, wow. It's a page turner, man. I never thought it. So what it is about these two brothers in 2011 who do the Oregon Trail with a mule team and a wagon, just like the settlers did back in the day when they did the Oregon Trail. And in the modern story, they taught, you get historical vignettes about what was going on and kind of the story of the Oregon Trail. So it's both a historical narrative and an adventure narrative. I mean, I didn't think a book about two brothers pulling a wagon along the Oregon Trail would be so action-packed. And it's the way this Rinker guy writes. It's a captivating novel. I mean, there was a couple moments where I was sitting on the edge of my seat, turning the pages, like, how is this going to turn out? Because the Oregon Trail was a pretty heavy-duty undertaking, and driving a team of mules is a pretty radical thing. So it's the kind of book I like. It's about the mid to late 1800s, the key time in American history when things are just beginning to happen, man. And I had no idea. I mean, I did, but it's how a book can open up your eyes to what you don't know. I just really didn't understand how pivotal those who did the Oregon Trail and the immigrants of the mid 1800s were to the expansion and development of America. And it sort of blows my mind, and it ties in the whole thing, the wiping out of the Native Americans, the expansion of the country, the inherent nature of the American spirit to get away from people. It's something I relate to because I think that if there was a place I could go to get out of this country and set up my own little private Idaho, I would. I think I would be one of these people on the Oregon Trail. But then you read about it, and again, it just puts you into perspective of how gnarly it was back then. There was like cholera outbreaks along the trail when they were going up the North Platte River, and people were just dying. And people were like, it's just part of the deal, like people dying. And so people were dying all over the place. And you really get this thing that we can't relate to on one level, but we can just the nature of like these. I don't know if you've ever been out to these areas. I've actually driven Interstate 80. It's basically Interstate 80 a couple of times. It's pretty desolate out there. And you realize these people were making a move when there was nothing going on out there. And yet, once the Oregon Trail really kicked into life, because it was a sort of 30-year process, that all of a sudden there were people like entrepreneurs who would get on long places on the trail and sell and do things. And the scope of it, the vast numbers of people that were doing the Oregon Trail really kind of opened my eyes to, I mean, you think you hear, whatever, the Oregon Trail, you hear about it in a little bit of American lore, but we don't really truly study it as a society as to how pivotal those who did the Oregon Trail were to, I don't know, the American ethos. Because, being an American, like who we are as a people, is a yin and a yang. There are some really great aspects about us and some really like downers, man. And the story of the Oregon Trail exemplifies like why we're was one of the gnarliest groups of people on the planet, because saying no is not who we are. We don't say no. We persevere. We plow into stuff and we make it happen. With that kind of thing goes, anyone in our way is in trouble, man. Those who would stop our progress would find that we're not going to be stopped. And I think, again, why it's important to study this crucial time in American history around the Civil War, because this was going on before and after the Civil War, is we need to figure out who we are as a people again. You know, we see this racial insanity and this strife going on in our country, and yet if we historically we can look back in history and we've done this before. We've done this before, and we did it one way that didn't work. Like violence, maybe it did work. I don't know, man. It's debatable about the whole Civil War thing. But we can look at a time in American history where people, all they wanted to do was just be left alone, man. And so people went to these great lengths to be left alone, i.e. pushing a wagon. Literally, some of them were pushing hand cart wagons. Like, I didn't know about that. There's a lot about the Mormons, because the Mormons were huge users of the Oregon Trail, and apparently it's like a big deal in the Mormon religion. And I know I used to have a lot of Mormons out there who watch this channel. If you're a Mormon, I could recommend this book to you. It's a lot about your guys' deal, man. And I don't know, man. I would just say as a book, it captivated me. I couldn't put it down once I started reading it. And like I said, I was like reading it as like, oh, I'm going to get some information. I'm going to fill my head with some information. I had no idea that I was going to be riding in the wagon with these guys, man. And I have to say, this Rinker Buck guy writes pretty well. The one thing I would say, my one complaint, besides there's not enough maps and not enough pictures, is he throws a little bit of his politics in there, a couple little teeny places here and there. And again, like, I wish people would understand that if everybody's wrong, nobody's right. Like, that's politics. So like, there's a couple spots where he's talking about some stuff that, like, as if he's correct and everybody else is wrong. And I think that's the problem with America right now and the politics is, no, everybody's wrong. Everybody's wrong. Because if somebody was right, it would be perfectly obvious the right way. And I think, again, if I look at how history repeats itself, I think as a nation and a society and as individuals, we are on a spiritual Oregon Trail right now. We are going to have to push our metaphysical wagon across the deserts of Wyoming, dude, and all the obstacles that involve that. Like, we're here. You can sit at home and on the east coast of reality, or you can go to the Missouri River, hitch up a team of mules, put your whole family and all your possessions, and start a 2,000-mile journey into the unknown, and come to the other side to basically the promised land. I mean, you look at what I don't know if you haven't been to Oregon. I can imagine what it must have been like to show up in the Willamette Valley in the 1800s and have nothing but opportunity there in a fertile, green valley. Yeah, bummer if you were one of the natives. The original people, man. The original people, too, were all nice about everything in the beginning. They were very welcoming. They weren't trying to shut it down. And then, you know, the standard American greediness, dude. More. So, you're going to get this book. You're going to read it, but you need a Rand McNally Atlas to kind of... For me, I'm a I'm a map geek, so I follow that. I like to know where things are, and you know. But that would be my one complaint. I was definitely wish there had been more pictures. There's some drawings and a couple pictures here and there, but they could have used a couple more pictures in this book. Would have been color plates. Would have been nice. And I am giving this an 11. Of all the books I've reviewed on this YouTube channel, The Oregon Trail by Rink Buck is the best book I've read in a long, long time.